How to become a serious manager, huh?
Yeah, it's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's one of those things where for me, I've been on SoRare since, well, I mean, like June last year. I didn't really start getting involved into it until about another 4 months after. But even to this day, I'm still like seeing patterns and trends and thinking about things that I just wish I knew when I started that would have been super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing as well is because the game like does develop, it has developed a lot. And even with the announcement we had yesterday, there's big changes that are as a consequence of that. Strategies are kind of forever, in a fun way, needing to be tweaked and altered.
Yeah.
And maybe that guy isn't quite the profile I need anymore. Maybe stretching to this guy now makes even more sense. That those kind of options are always fun to explore.
Yeah. So for the benefit of the stream, how did you get into SoRare, and what's your like in a nutshell journey been like so far?
Well, Hybe, funnily enough, the man we were talking about a second ago, was actually the guy that introduced me to it. He sent me a tweet from when the first Ronaldo unique got auctioned and somebody bought it for £10,000. And I was just blown away by that. I was like, wow, I can find, I was just straight away, I was like, I'll be able to find the next guy that's like that. I'm going to go buy a card and one day it'll be worth £10,000 and I'll be buzzing. Because I say with just other football crossovers, I've been a mega fan. I've got a UEFA licensed coach. I've made our content on alternative gambling platforms and stuff like that in the past as well.
Yeah.
And I did try my hand at some FIFA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So see when Ultimate Team first came out, and I seen like YouTubers like yourself and other people doing really well, I thought, you know what? I could just spend like a ton of money and pack Ronaldo, and then that would be me. I'd get 1 million views, and it was just, that'll be it. That's how it works, and all the rest of it.
It kind of was, to be fair. Like,
oh, fair enough.
Yeah,
that worked for me. I didn't get Ronaldo.
No, yeah, getting the Ronaldo part, that's the hardest part. But yeah, I think even, well, obviously SoRare wasn't around back then, but imagine putting that kind of investment into SoRare at the start instead of into FIFA.
When yourself and Channy have come on and spoke about this, like, honestly, it's like hearing myself speak, because like I was quite hard on Ultimate Team, and I would say hard from my own personal life situation or whatever. I think I spent £1,000 on it one season, and I was like, wow. I was actually like I was like, whoa, I spent a lot of money on that game last year, but I got a boatload of fun out of it. I had a great team. I had like the best Premier League informed team you could have, like De Bruyne's and Aguero's and all that. It was brilliant. It was tons of fun. I still remember it,
Yeah.
But it was then the next season when it was the realization of square one, A1, and it's like, oh, okay, so then I'm then buying the what do you call it when you can get it early access, and then you get extra packs and a special edition someday. End up doing that, and I'm like, right, well, that'll stop me buying packs, because I'll get tons of packs in the beginning. But
yeah, it doesn't stop you buying them, does it? Especially with all the all the promos that they have these days. It's just a non-stop influx of trying to sell packs.
If you could hit the subscribe button, I do daily videos on SoRare, everything from hints, tips and tricks all the way through to live streams and tips on cheap players to buy. That will also automatically enter you into my March giveaway. I'm giving away a rare Davy Klaassen, who's a midfielder for Ajax, and 2 limited goalkeepers. If you want to stick around to the end of the video, we'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there.
Is it difficult? Is it not difficult? Is it interesting to see a new influx of people? Because what I get from this is, you've got some managers that have come in from the FIFA side of things that are a bit more serious and have invested a little bit more and spent a little bit more. But you've got a lot of chances that think that they can be that guy that you started out to be, where you're like, okay, I can find that next Ronaldo. Where they're like, I want to put in a tenner, I want to put in €50, 50 quid, and I'm going to be the next multimillionaire. Is it like, I kind of like wish to steer those people almost away from it and be like, look, you're not going to be that guy. It's, you're going to have to put work in, time and effort in. What's it been like to see an entirely new base of users come in and just change the shape of SoRare?
Although that was like my initial kind of motivation, like, to be honest with you, I'm all about the gameplay aspect of the game. Like, whenever I get like blue sky thinking and do all that kind of stuff, it's all like esports, gaming, it's all that kind of stuff is where I really see like NFTs period, like, being a thing. Never mind, SoRare's probably like the apex predator for that now, because it just ticks all the boxes you would want for that angle of things, So I actually really like it, and I do think that the community, like, SoRare's had a lovely growth like over the time I've been involved in it, but it's like any growing kind of endeavor, if you like. Everyone will find different parts of it that they enjoy more than others, and they find challenging and engaging more than others. And for the longest time, it was definitely like alternative gambling, UK, like crowd in terms of like the UK based players.
Yeah.
And because that is the base incentive for joining, that is the base kind of, you know, line of success or dialogue or whatever. Whereas when the main thing is like the gaming aspect of it is getting your favourite players, connecting with the game, watching the game and having something riding on it. And it's that, and I think if the focus shifts more to that, then everything improves as a result. So I actually like that kind of, not necessarily the dilution, but the balancing of the scales in terms of what people come here for. If it's all for one thing, then it goes off on a counter, you know.
Yeah, no,
it needs to be in balance.
Absolutely. And with this new scouting season, I saw YNWA tweet about it, and it's dangerous, isn't it? With the fact that it could just hyperinflate players that wouldn't otherwise have value for new users.
Well, I didn't really see that angle of it. I've not seen Mark's tweet, to be honest with you, so I'll check that out before I really say much on it. But when I first seen the scouting season, I had nothing but good things to
likewise,
I thought, first of all, you know, you can enter limiteds to potentially win a tier 1 unique. Like, and again, I don't know what's been really said on it because I've been recording so much over the last like 24 hours and whatever. But
yeah, so
like,
in short, I think the theory was that new managers, or even, you know, relatively new managers or inexperienced managers, are going to start looking for those L540s and L550 players who would normally be, say, £1 or £2 or £3, and all of a sudden they're going to be £8 or £10 or £15 because they have utility they didn't have before. And then as soon as scouting season is over and they don't have utility again, their price is going to plummet. And if they didn't hit rewards, these people are essentially going to bought into a hype.
Yeah, I don't buy into that, to be honest with you, because like there's so many players that are like, let's say sub L15, under 50, you know, even, and to pick them out for a special weekly and say, oh, this guy is going to be, he's definitely going to, you know, the guy's got an L5 or an L15 of under 50, and it's going to be that obvious to everyone that guy's going to bang in an 80 or something this game week to make him so hyperinflated for the game week for the one's tournament. I think that's too much, you know.
And fair enough, but don't you? Isn't the concern also there that the social media side of things now, especially with SoRare growing more and more, if let's say anyone can look at anybody's lineups or transactions or anything, if I go and buy, you know, a set of players that I think is going to be good, and even 10 or 15 or 20 people decide to be like, okay, he's bought them, let me go in on them. Now all of a sudden that creates a hyperinflation as well, and not even just for scouting season, but in general. Is like, how do you feel about that side of things?
I don't ever pay any attention really, to be honest with you, because like you've got to accept that when you are on, when it is an NFT game and it is on blockchain and everything is visible to all, that you know, people will take inclinations from certain things. Like I remember, for example, when like PK and like Werner and all that first came on, the first bunch of players they started buying that weren't like obviously their pals from the national team or whatever, people would then go, oh well, PK bought that guy's unique and he's played against him before, you know, so maybe, you know, PK really, or for example, when Barca did come on, the first thing PK did was buy tons of Gavis, and it was before Gavi. You know, and it's like, well, PK is obviously training with the guy, you know, so, you know, there's so many things like, you know, for example, with goalkeepers, as soon as I was talking to this with, it might have been the Odyssey boys yesterday, but as soon as news in football is over 3 hours old, the market's reacted to it. You know, the market reacts to so many things. It might just be like a Twitter account that's got 500 followers, but it said, oh, I was at FC20 training today, and this was the goalkeeper. And everyone's like, oh, you know, and they run on and do it. So there's so many things that can influence it and whatever. I don't let it bother me, you know, or I don't pay it any attention because, as I say, people will find any reason to buy something. And if I'm buying something, there's probably more than zero. You know, it might just be a goalkeeper for training, you know. But if I'm going to buy a training goalkeeper, I'm not going to buy an absolute dud. So I don't let. So again, and also the last thing I'd kind of say on that point is anyone who's got an account and is at the level where they would be watching anyone in particular's moves already understands all the consequences and all the risks of the guy breaking his leg, the guy not getting into the team, the transfer falling through. You know, when you get to that stage, you already understand the jeopardy involved in football.
That's very fair, actually. That is very fair. And so for me, when I came on, when I started with SoRare, my idea was like just buy lots of players I thought were good. Had like, you know, I didn't really understand the L5, L15, L40. I definitely didn't understand like the difference between decisives and all-round scores. I didn't even understand how decisive worked until like last week. I didn't really understand how the training for XP worked. like for a brand new manager coming in today, what would be like the top like 2 or 3 tips that you could just give for like this is a must do or a must not do?
So I would say I'll be making a video about this, but with the scouting season, again, I don't know how well people have kind of covered all the details in it, but the first thing that they said in it is, or not one of the first main points that they made about it was that they're doing away with the alphabetical auctions, so it's just going to be random. So it's now going to be more important than ever to, if you're on SoRare and you go to My Club, you hover over that, and then when it says My SoRare, the third bottom thing says follows.
Yep.
So that's the list of all the players you follow on SoRare. Now, because they're all going to be randomly auctioned, particularly above the limited level, keeping on top of who you're actively wanting to know when they become out on auction is going to become very more important, because if they are just randomly throwing out people out of sync with what we're used to in terms of there's a kind of running joke with the Andrews, certainly, that when you get to Kim and Lee season in the alphabet, then all the auctions, it's all Korean guys and Japanese guys that get Kim and Lee in their name when it gets to K and L. And for 2 days the auctions are dead, but then when it gets to like P and all the Pedros are out, so because it is going to be totally random now, if you are actively trying to acquire cards, you will need to, because filtering by favourite, that the reason this is important is when you go to market new auctions, the first thing I always filter by is favourites, and I get rid of everything I'm not paying attention to, so I only see the auctions for who are on my favourites list. Sometimes it's good to not do that, don't get me wrong, because sometimes you can just look at the same people for too long and you miss opportunities elsewhere. But for people, especially when you're starting, get a good list of like however many cards you think you're going to buy, times that by 4 and make that your list, and then you're still looking for the same amount of cards, but out of the 4x size list, you're just looking for the best opportunities from 25% in terms of pricing, or it's a quiet auction, somebody's selling because they might have got in, whatever. You just buy the opportunity for the bigger list for your actual what you need, if that makes sense.
So with an account the size of yours, I know Channy watched a lot of your content, and he was talking about how, like, because you have got like the coaching badges and licenses and such, you like the way you pick your team. He was fascinated by. With an account the size of yours, how much energy goes into that, opposed to just seeing who's their favorite matchups and going, or do you go off of like all-round scores, how they played against this team last time, how they play against 3-backs or 4-backs or 5-backs?
All that detail you added in at the end, I'm all about that. But in terms of like just jumping onto SoRare Data and going, what's his L5, it's 75 plus, so that means he'll do. I'm not really a paint by numbers guy, but in terms of like looking back, so for example, Renato Sanchez was in stinking form recently and he had some injuries, but he always plays well against PSG because he's always in the shop window, isn't he? So so little things like that, you get to know your players after a while, like, last time that they had a big away trip, or after Europe this happened, you get to learn the little idiosyncrasies, if that's the word, for the guy's situation. That's well more valuable than the actual numbers for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and that's like something I've been talking to like a few of my friends about. Is like I'd love to create like some kind of formula, some kind of spreadsheet where I'm like, when I put a player in, it just gives me information on like, how well he passes when the underdog team versus the superior team and things like that. And I do think that there's an opportunity there to etch out that extra few percent here and there on players, which could also be good for buying and selling as well. If a player's had a bad run of games just because they've played tough in those sort of situations.
Let's get into all the giveaway stuff before I let you go. I'm still doing monthly giveaways and I'm making it easier to enter. If you want to be entered to win this month's prize or any future giveaways here at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button, you need to be a subscriber to enter, then leave a comment down below. Each month, a random comment from a random video will be selected as the winner, so the more videos you leave a comment on, the better the chance you've got of winning any of my giveaways. All the winners are announced at the end of videos the same way as we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. As always guys, if you've enjoyed the video today, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. On screen now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.